away from all your nasty doubt. The world is starving for your laughter, yearning for your love. Your love, you got to live it like you never lived before. Love it like you want it more and more. Be you, that's what you're here for. You're more than enough, more than enough. Than those shadows that make you blue. Stand up, go be the difference now that you can see. Celebrate, shout out, I'm happy just to be me. Now fill the world with love, giving all your love. Your love, you got to live it like you never lived before. Love it like you want it more and more.
Hi, everybody. It's Frank Coppola here. I'm so happy to be on the Phoenix Network, National Network. And let me just tell you a little bit about myself. I work with people who have ADD, business owners, entrepreneurs, professionals, and I help them double their income in less than 6 months. I'm also a board certified ADHD coach and a singer-songwriter. I write my own music. So with all that said and done, how do I put this together? So today I'm going to show you a PowerPoint presentation with music embedded in it. And it's called Entrepreneur ADD Connection, using the importance and the use of music. So if you have any questions at the end of it, just let me know. And it's a bit of a journey. I'll take you through what it is to be an entrepreneur, how ADD connects with that, the relationship, and then throughout, I'll be playing music with it. So let's begin. So give me just a second. Okay. So here we go. See, you see what happens when you put music in whatever you're doing, people immediately get connected to it. There's a reason for this. So here's why you care about entrepreneurs and ADHD. Because they deal with, as we all deal with, self-care. It deals with self-esteem, lack of motivation, balance, above all, profits and sales for people in business. And when I say profits, or if you're not in business, I say that has to do with the things that you want to succeed in. So why music? Music is emotional. It's not intellectual. It deepens the learning of your clients and it opens the channel to the brain. What do I mean by that? There are a lot of programs out there, and it's very, very content ridden, but the content is normally in speaking or materials or something like that. But music is emotional. It hits people at a level that many times they're not even aware of. And I'll show you some examples later about that. So here, most entrepreneurs share some common traits. They tend to be visionaries, like you all. They tend to be risk takers. And the majority of entrepreneurs, believe it or not, have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADD, ADHD. Now, that doesn't mean that you have it. What I'm saying is that they have the symptoms of that. It doesn't mean that every entrepreneur has ADD. No, that's not the case. So as we're going through this, you look to see what might be symptoms or not might be symptoms. So I'm going to take you how they're different and how they are similar. Starting off, entrepreneurship is situational. You can be very successful, and then you will fall into a gap, and then you get very successful, you fall into a gap. It's situational. ADHD is situational, meaning you don't necessarily have ADHD all the time. As a matter of fact, for people that I work with who have ADHD, when they discover their strengths, what they're really good at, what they really love to do, and it could be as simple as like collecting stamps or something like that. When they get to that place, all the signs, all the symptoms, all the behaviors of ADD literally disappear. So my job is to really help people stay in their genius zone, because ADHD is about being in your genius zone. Entrepreneur's biology is impacted by, as we know, stress, overwhelm, fear, doubt, and worry, as well as anything that's successful. Again, it doesn't mean that every entrepreneur is like this, but there is some commonality. ADD, ADHD is biological. The symptoms of ADD are directly related to brain chemistry. So ADD is really about biology at some point. Here are the primary shared issues. Again, and there are more: procrastination, time management issues, disorganization, self-regulation, which means emotional, and executive functions, which I can explain at another time. All you need to do is contact me at my email, which will be at the end of this. But again, you may have the symptoms, you may not have the symptoms. Doesn't mean that every entrepreneur has these, but you could probably see that they share some things in common. Now, here's another thing. What really causes disruption for people with ADD and causes disruption for people who are entrepreneurs? They normally fall into this gap: boredom, disinterest. They're understimulated, they're overstimulated. Any form of fear, chaos, overwhelm, stress, anxiety. I'm quite sure we all can relate to this at some point. So let me tell you about my story and what makes me such an authority in this area. As I said, I'm board certified, but it took me a while to get to this place. I'll tell you about the temptations when we get finished here. I started off in my father's restaurant, and from the time I was like 5 years old until I was like 19 or so, I eventually got to be running that restaurant, but I learned how to cook, which is a big source of joy for me. At that point, somewhere about 19, there was a piano in my house, and the Beatles came along, and I decided I'm going to learn how to play the piano, I'm going to learn how to play the guitar, and eventually I settled on the electric bass, and I used that throughout high school and college. Eventually became a session musician, did recordings for other people, played on Broadway, did the whole deal. At some point, I decided, I don't know if I could really make a living at that. So I became a school teacher for 8 years. And then along the way, because I'm so spiritual, I became an interfaith minister. And then along the way, I became a psychoanalyst. Like I said, I have attention deficit disorder. Back in 2000, I discovered I had attention deficit disorder. I remember going to my doctor and I was telling him all the things that weren't working. He said, oh, you have ADD. And I said, really? When were you going to tell me I had ADD? So at that point, after being very depressed, I said, you know what? I've learned how to be a coach from other programs. I better learn how to be a coach, because if I don't, I'm going to forget all this and fall into the hole again. So I become attention deficit coach. I got more coaching, did more training, and eventually got board certified. So that's where we are. Now, the other thing is I happen to be musical. At one point, I had my own television commercial company doing special effects and computer graphics and live action. Did all kinds of commercials, put more cars in space than you can imagine. And I was known as a really good salesperson, and I could raise money for people. And a buddy of mine, Harry Weber, actually grew up with the Temptations. So he invited me out to Las Vegas, and I was going to meet the Temptations. And I was like, wow, are you kidding me? The Temptations. He says, yeah, but you're going to go out there and you're going to raise money for this script I wrote called Stay. It was just basically based on the Temptations. I forgot the name of it right now. So when I got there, it was very hot, never being in Las Vegas. And I showed up in a suit, which was really not a good idea. And I went to meet the Temptations up on the swimming pool. They're in their bathing suits, and I'm in my suit, sweating. And I said to Harry, what's next? He said, we're going to go meet the Temptations. They're going to be doing a performance downstairs. And this was at the Hilton. So there was about 1,000 people there. I no sooner get there than Harry says, don't get too comfortable. You're going to go up on stage and sing with the Temptations. And I said, oh, okay, that'll be interesting. So two big guys took me up the stage. And when I got there, My Girl was playing in the background. You know My Girl? Ba-doom-doom, 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 ba-doom-doom. And as I look across, I see the Temptations in yellow suits, black shirts, black ties, and they're doing steps. And I said to myself, oh, this is very cool. And I went, when the lead singer said to me, do you know the lyrics of My Girl? And I said, well, not really. Maybe you can just help me with this. And at that point, he starts singing, I got sunshine in a summer day. And then on the second verse, I came in and started to sing My Girl. And the lead singer looked at me and actually cursed at me, because the deal was they wanted to bring somebody up and basically goof on them. And I looked at them and they knew I was goofing on them. So they all smiled. And when I turned around, I looked at them all and immediately got into relationship with them, because I'm actually really about relationships. I became friends with them. I'd meet them all the time, and they would always bother me. Why aren't you singing? Which was like, oh, you know, at that time I wasn't, even though I was a musician, I didn't feel that great because it was the Temptations, but I knew I could sing with them. It wasn't a big deal. So now, with all the work that I've done in the past, these are some of the clients that I've worked with, whether it was in performing, doing music for them, doing commercials for them, doing voiceovers for them, or singing for them, or doing live action, special effects, etc. I actually, with Harry Weber, wrote some music for Whitney Houston, as well as writing music for the Temptations. So let's again go back to the entrepreneurs, adults with ADD, ADHD. So take a look here. Poor organization. Just see if any of this relates to you. Poor organizational skills. Home office desk or car is extremely messy and cluttered. That has nothing to do with me, of course. A tendency to procrastinate. I actually wrote a book on procrastination because I figured that if I'm having so much trouble, there are probably people out there having trouble as well. Starting and finishing projects, chronic laziness, frequently forgetting appointments or commitments and deadlines, constantly losing and misplacing things, So this would happen to me, underestimating time it takes to complete a task. Can you relate at all? But here's the good news. Entrepreneurs constantly have new ideas to improve their business. ADHD are distracted, seems to always have something new to be thinking about. Entrepreneurs are flexible. They approach problems with several different angles, always ready to change direction if that is what is needed. ADHD starts several projects at the same time, may not complete them at all times, but they too are moving from one thing to the next thing. Entrepreneur immerses himself or herself in the job, often does not realize how much time has passed. ADHD will find themselves in a hyperactive state, a distorted sense of time. Will spend hours playing a video game without realizing how much time has passed. Now, in my case, if I had to do accounting, I'm good for 20 minutes. Entrepreneurs are visionary. They're going to paint pictures for others about their business, their thoughts, their ideas. ADHD are visual thinkers. Entrepreneurs are hands-on managers. Many times they have difficulty letting go of their own particular power to give it over to somebody else and trust them. ADHD, they're hands-on learners. I know I am. Entrepreneurs are always on the go. ADHD, many times are hyperactive. There are 3 areas for ADHD: impulsivity, hyperactivity, as well as being able to stay focused on things. I happen to be in the impulsive arena. That's another story unto itself. Again, you're in good company. David Neilman, the founder of JetBlue, they're not in business anymore. Actually, they are in business. My brain naturally searches for better things to do. Look at the positives for having ADD. Don't get discouraged. Don't ever give up. Innovations that he created, in-flight television, e-tickets, unparalleled customer service, on a discount airline. This is a serious entrepreneur who happens to have ADD. Now we got Charles Schwab, the founder and the chairman of Charles Schwab's company. He says, I focused on my strengths, and I had the natural affinity for numbers and economics, and I focused this in my career. The more that he did that, the more focused he became. Don't be afraid to ask for help, to admit you need it. Now, this is whether you have ADD, whether you don't have ADD, it doesn't really matter. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Now, Richard Branson, be surprised. He's a major ADD person, but look what he's created. Brilliant guy. Now, here are some other people that you may know that have attention deficit disorder. Take a look. The guy with the kid, he's the one with the tie is not me, okay? Pretty interesting group of people, right? Again, why music? Music is emotional, deepens the learning, opens the channel.
There's only one way to make them grow. You gotta ask, and you shall receive. Ask, and you shall receive. Ask for directions, ask for decisions, ask for the vision, ask for the love. You shall receive. You shall receive.
Now, this is a song that I wrote, and Barbara Steinman was a client of mine. She was a sculptor, a wood sculptor, and she would make like benches for churches and synagogues. Well, she made a whole series of things for a synagogue. It cost $60,000. She delivered the product for $30,000. And now she was afraid to get on the phone and ask for the sale for the rest of the $30,000. So what happened is I worked with her, told her to listen to the song. We get on the phone together. I'll listen to her as I was training ADD about sales. She had major ADD. And within 2 months, she got the $30,000 back. What I'm saying is that the music at an emotional level, she said, I kept thinking about that song, Ask, when I was on the phone, looking for and asking for the sale. Sales is not something you do to somebody. Sales is something you need to do for somebody. That's a very important concept for sales. Again, you gotta ask. Now, the next person, her name is Stephanie Frank. She fell into being overwhelmed. Why? She was running 5 companies simultaneously. First woman I ever knew that was making $1 million off of the internet. Now, this is 10 years ago. So when she came to me, she said, I can handle 5 companies, but it's just too much. But my ADD keeps pushing me to do something else. So I said, look, you're probably in anxiety as well as the overwhelm. I would like you to listen to this song that I also wrote called Turn It Over. Here we go.
Woke up this morning with an ache in my
That's
head.
how she woke up all the
My
time.
body so weary, barely dragged myself out of bed. Man, I'm so tired of reshuffling this deck. Feel like I'm the captain of the world's largest shipwreck. And I'm wondering once again, why can't I connect? Then I hear, turn it over. Have faith in what you can't see. Turn it over. Put a little trust in me. Turn it over. Let go of trying to hold on. Turn it over. Turn it over.
We went from 5 companies down to 2. She got freedom from doing this. And this made her really not only productive in her business, she was still doing $1 million in business, but it also gave her freedom of time, which we all want at some level. The next guy, is Ken Kitchens. A brilliant guy. He had self-esteem issues. He's formerly the Coca-Cola salesman at his father's Coke factory. And when he came to me, he says, I don't want to be known as the Coca-Cola factory guy. I said, so what do you love to do? He says, I love music. I said, so let's do music. I said, what do you really want to do? He says, I want to start a nightclub, a jazz club. So eventually he started a jazz club. And we had to make sure his self-esteem was in order. So I wrote him a song called You're More Than Enough. Here we go.
The world is starving for your laughter, yearning for your love. Your love, you got to live it like you never lived before. Love it like you want it more and more. Be you, that's what you're here for. You're more than enough, more than enough.
And he is more than enough. We finally figured out that he was in the happiness business because every time he got to speak to somebody, he made them feel happy. This is Third Nation. Brilliant saxophone. 28. always wanted to play with Wynton Marsalis. He wound up getting in his junior Wynton Marsalis band, which he's still part of it. And he does jingles and all kinds of stuff. Entrepreneur with music. So just check this out. If a child has ADHD, there's up to a 70% chance that at least one of the parents has it too. Understanding your ADHD, if you have ADHD, could be the first step towards realizing your full potential in business and in your personal life. Again, it doesn't mean you have ADD, but it's something to kind of consider. Now, I'm not going to go through this because we just don't have enough time. But if you want to maximize your profits and success, you got to learn how to be motivated. Anybody wants to know this, just contact me at Frank at ADHD, Frank at the ADDcoachinggroup.com. You'll see this at the end. Now, motivation, very important in business. Now, here's the power of strengths. I'll give you a secret. Success is achieved by developing our strengths, not eliminating our weaknesses. Now, this was spoken by Marilyn Vassant, excuse me. She had the highest IQ ever recorded, 228. Her husband was a dummy. He had an IQ of 221. She said, stop going after your weaknesses. Start developing your strengths. Weaknesses will only bring you more weaknesses. Here's how you figure it out. Strengths will energize you. Weaknesses will drain you. Strengths, when you do what you love, strengths expand your opportunities. When you're doing something that you don't care for, it will keep you small. You could be very successful, but at a certain level, you may feel less than adequate. Thoughts focus on strengths, lead to action, which generates passion. Many people thought, oh, if I can only find my passion, then I'll be okay. No, it's the other way around. You find out what you love, that you start playing around with that, and then you can become passionate about it when you love what you love to do. Thank you for being here. If you want to reach me, just contact Frank at gmail.com. or you can call me directly for 695-5625. Sorry to go so fast. Or you can go to my tweet. This has been an absolute pleasure. Let me stop that share. If I can find the place. Oh, there we go. So I want to say thank you very much. Just want to open it up. Do you have any questions?
Good afternoon, Frank.
Hi, Oscar. How are you?
Good. I gotta get more light in here. Yeah, it's fascinating because you are talking to me on all those levels. Finding a passion was always a struggle, and now I think I finally have found a passion. Wearing the Operation Underground Railroad shirt that I'm doing more often now, and just channeling what we do into helping to stop child sex trafficking and human trafficking around the world and in the US. And that has taken me from I gotta make a phone call to man, I can't wait to make that phone call.
Yeah, excited.
There's something behind that phone call.
Yeah, very excited. I'm happy for you. That's a real passion. That's a real passion. Good for you. Good for you. Anybody else have any questions?
Frank, I know that I can resonate with that as far as being an entrepreneur and also having so many projects, because it's one of those things where as an entrepreneur, you sometimes have to do everything yourself, because you've got to get things done. And also with the pandemic and everything, everybody was kind of stuck inside and not being able to go anywhere. So, I can totally relate about all of that. You go from one project to another And that's just how it works. I mean, you just get it done.
Yeah. I know you, and you handle a lot of projects, but there's something about you. You really approach each one. When you're working on one, you're working on one. If you get a little tired with that, you'll move to another one. You're very dedicated to finishing your projects, and I see it all the time. I admire you so much.
Well, you know what? I've done a lot of time blocking. So I take, spaces of time, and I just block everything out just for that. I mean, that's the only way that you can get things done.
Yeah, people find ways to really work within their parameters. Time blocking is great. Absolutely great. Good for you.
Very formative. I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Pleasure.
That's really awesome, Frank. Don't leave yet, Karen. So, Frank, when you were telling your story, right? You mentioned all these different things that you did in your life, and
a few of them.
And yeah, few of the things. And so, I mean, you and Karen have that in common, to where you can multitask yourself into different functions, and that is one of the benefits of where you can operate through your ADD. But I've heard so many people approach ADD from a very negative standpoint.
The only thing wrong with ADD is A, you don't know you have it. B, nobody really set you up on a system to be successful with it. That's it. That's really what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you are doing so many things, and as an entrepreneur, even thinking that way, you have to think as a business person, and you have all of these things that you have to get done, and if you happen to miss just one of them, then it sets you back. So that's why you have to get all your ducks in a row.
Yeah, well, this is one of the reasons I coach people, whether it's an entrepreneur or whether it's an ADD person, because the disciplines that I've learned along the way coaching apply to pretty much everybody, right? So it's really about engaging in some way. And you have to be very careful, because things can slip. That's why you work with a coach. Because if you don't, things will slip all over the place. Unless you are incredibly disciplined, like Karen. She's really disciplined. Amazing.
I've tried. It's been years of working, working at this.
Yeah, and you also found your passion. It makes a big difference. You'll do whatever it takes to get it done.
Well, when you have that drive and passion as an entrepreneur, you just do it,
Yeah. You can't help but do it.
Right. Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the amazing part. I love how you tied music to actually showing people what they can do, even just through music, Frank. What got you more tied to the music aspect of talking about that?
Well, it was interesting because I've always been involved in music from the time I was in my father's restaurant listening to the jukebox, right? And across the street was the movie theater. So at some point, I found myself in advertising, and I'd met really creative people. So I had this gift with talent, with music. And I always believe that there's a healing power of music. So I would meet people who were also very spiritual. We would write lyrics together. I've written a couple of musicals with Harry Weber. I wrote with a lot of people, a lot of things. I created a CD with this woman named Mindy Rosengarten, really wonderful. And I still didn't feel that I was doing anything special. It was like, just doing this thing, right? I wind up studying with somebody, and this is after I found out I had ADD. And this guy I was studying with, and it was costing a lot of money a month. And he would tell me all the time, stop telling me about your procrastination nonsense. go do your music. And I would go, until finally he says, listen, if you don't go do your music, I'm not going to coach you anymore. And you'll still have to pay me on a monthly basis.
There's motivation right
Yeah.
there.
So I went home and I said, well, I guess I should do this. And I found a cassette of
Mhm.
something I wrote and me singing. And I put the cassette in there and I went, oh, that's what everybody's been talking about.
Wow.
I heard it for the first time.
Right.
And at that point, I said, from now on, anything I touch is going to have the arts attached to it, because that's what I'm about. Arts,
Mhm.
healing, music, architecture, food, because food is very creative, anything around that. And that's how I got back into it. And I started to do a lot of writing with a lot of people. I do custom songs for people who get married or have a baby and stuff like that. And I've also been asked to write some music songs for films. I'm just out there doing it and coaching at the same time,
Mhm.
because the music is my company's name is Edutainment, so it's education mixed with entertainment. So it's, when I'm doing it, I'm sky high. It's good stuff.
Also music is very motivating. So if you have that, like when you just first turned on the music, I was like, I'm sitting here going like this. And I was like, oh, wow, this is good.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's very motivating for sure.
without a doubt, without a doubt. And also, if you're working with clients, you don't have to have original music. You could say to your clients, what kind of music do you like? And have them then play it before you get together with them, because it hits a certain part of the brain. And
Yep.
when that happens, it opens it up. When that happens, it allows teaching to occur. I don't know what section it is, but no matter, whenever you do these programs, they always have music playing before the session.
Right.
Always. And then they do it at the end to cut it off, because you're walking away from it.
Got it. Got it. So you give it a beginning and you give it a conclusion.
Yeah.
Kind of like closes their gate. Well, yeah, I love what Karen said, because that's when you started playing the music, I automatically felt myself relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it is almost like if you had any kind of like contention, you find yourself just kind of like bringing that down.
Yeah, because it really works on, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was saying it really works on stress and anxiety, and it just kind of calms you down invariably, unless you're listening to James Brown, who I used to play that when I was running a company, and I had all these sales guys. So I would get in there at 9 o'clock and I would play, James Brown.
Wow.
I got this, all this kind of stuff. And everybody thought I was out of their mind, but they were very productive.
Yeah.
They were very productive.
Now, there's something that you said that I'm going to ask just each person to answer this question before we go. When you got that revelation of yourself, about yourself, what did that do for you?
It just completely changed me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say to people all the time, I had changed, but I was actually transformed, but I was actually the same person at the same time. I just absolutely inside shifted. And that made an enormous difference. And I got back to being funny, because before that I was very serious. I'm a business guy. I'm going to be very serious,
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah. Once you become you, it's like, it's all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What is it for you, Oscar? When was the moment for you?
I don't know. I don't know if I could pick a moment. I remember, once when I was young in school, I was always the shortest one, easy to pick on. And one of the guys says, if you pick on yourself, you will disarm everyone around you. So, that self-deprecating humor, I was able to do that and then, come back with a vengeance. So people left me alone. But then to this day, I will cut people down to the quick with very quick. And being ADHD helps a lot, because I have so many things to pick from in my brain that is readily accessible.
Yeah.
So I use that to my advantage.
I know I have the Staples sisters in my brain going all the time. What's it like for you, Karen? What was the moment? Can you know? Do you
What
know?
was the moment for what?
When you got a revelation of yourself, when it came to you like, you know what, I need to make this shift. It's like the aha moment.
Oh, I love those. I actually had one. When did I have one? I just had one not too long ago when he was talking about the music. So, you know, turning the music on for the client,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm going to add that as one of my questions on my health histories.
That's great.
Because I think it's important, because I ask a lot of, you know, personal questions, but that's a good one.
Sure. You tell people, that's your favorite song? Great, I want you to play it.
No, I'm going to play it for them.
Okay, that's great.
That's awesome.
better.
Yeah, no, I think it's
Great way
great.
to start any session, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
on a positive note, for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you for that. That was great.
Yeah,
Love it.
Frank.
I
That
love
was a
it. My
great
pleasure.
program. Thank you so much. This is actually the end of our entrepreneurial month. And Frank, you close it off with a bang. Thank you so much for that. You know,
Thank you for allowing me to be here to do this.
Oh, listen, we're all partners, man. We all make this happen. And because of our collaboration, people can get this information. They can also get it on our app. All of Frank's information and all of Karen's information is in our Phoenix National Network app, which you can download on your phones, and
as well as Oscar.
As well as Oscar. All of our partners are on there. If you watch their programs throughout the month, you can actually get in touch with them. We have a chat room within the app also for each of these areas. So if you have questions you want to leave in there, you know, go ahead and do that, and one of us will reach back out to you. But a very encouraging segment, and I love how we're closing this out. Thank you so much again, Frank.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Ricky, we know you're in the background, so thank you also. And we'll see you guys again next month. Take care.
Bye-bye.
I've been standing on the corner, waiting for the light to turn green.
Can I go now? Cross over. Will the world stop just for me?
You wanna make a difference, but you don't know how. Take the time and break away from all your nasty doubts. The world is starving for your laughter, yearning for your love. Your love, you got to live it like you never lived before. Love it like you want it more and more. Be you, that's what you're here for. You're more than enough, more than enough.
Take one step and another. Nothing's done, nothing on you.
Leave all your doubts. You're stronger than those shadows that make you blue. Stand up, you'll be the difference now that you can see. Celebrate.